Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie, and today I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I know it's a little late. Most people did these in June, but we super forgot about it when we were planning out June, so we decided to do it in July instead. So I'm very excited to get into the tag. This is just like a fun tag to sort of assess what I've read this year. As of right now, I've read 92 books, which, considering my goal, my Goodreads goal for this year was 100, I'd say I'm relatively on track. I probably will be upping that goal, but I'm one of those people where I can't up the goal until I reach the goal. So once I reach 100, I will probably up it a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into the tag. So question 1 is, what is the best book that I have read so far in 2020? This one was really hard. So I'm stuck between two books, but I will talk about both. So the first book is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. This was marketed as a Slytherin love story, and as a Slytherin myself, that immediately jumped at me. And this book did not disappoint with any of that. We follow Alessandra, who is the second-born daughter of this high noble, and usually second-born daughters don't get much. So she has made it her goal in life to woo the Shadow King, marry the Shadow King, kill him, and take his kingdom. This book was so amazing, and for how short this is, and for the fact that it is not a series, it delivered in every aspect. The romance, the banter, the whole plot. There were twists and turns that had me physically gasping when reading this book. I loved it. This will definitely be a yearly reread, and I'm just so in love with Tricia Levenseller's writing and the just wildly imaginative worlds that she is able to build. She is for sure an author, but she became that last year with Warrior in the Wild. The other book that I have fallen in love with in 2020 should be no surprise to anybody, and that is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, House of Earth and Blood. This is Sarah J. Maas's debut into the adult world, but as you can see, I have my Inner Circle from ACOTAR shirt on. I'm obsessed with Sarah J. Maas, and she super delivered on this adult book. I am in love with this. We follow Bryce, who is half Fae, and her best friend is murdered, and 2 years after the murder, the case is reopened, and she has to work with a fallen angel named Hunt to try and solve her best friend's murder. And just so much more plot ensues. But not only that, the world is so amazing. It has such depth. It is basically, when we think of these Fae lands and everything, we think of things like Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses, where they are in this sort of medieval-ish times. But this is in modern times. She has a cell phone. She takes selfies. She goes clubbing. There's so many unique aspects to the Fae world that Sarah J. Maas has added to this world. I found it to be so amazing, and just I was able to fall into this world, and I am just so in love with it. I need book 2 immediately, and just because I want to follow these characters. I'm super excited to see where this plot goes. The last third of this book was just amazing, and I need more. So the next question is, what is my favorite sequel that has come out this year? So I actually have been starting to try and catch up on my series. I wasn't doing a great job of doing that, so I'm trying to get back into it. But I will say this one was a surefire answer, and that is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid, Kemmerer. This is the sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but we follow Harper, who is from our world, and she is kidnapped into this magical realm, basically to be our Belle, and she has to break the spell. She's our Belle. Like, that's just how that story goes. So to have that be a series is really fun, and in this book we actually don't follow our main couple from book 1. We follow the guard from book 1, Gray, who honestly was one of my favorite characters in book 1 anyway, and I was here for it. The romance is amazing. The extensive world building we get in this is phenomenal, and the plot is so deep and just amazing that I am just so scared and so ready for book 3 to come out next year. The next question is a 2020 release that I haven't read but really want to. And for me, that is A Court of Miracles by Kester Grant. I am so excited for this book for a couple of reasons. One, the cover automatically drew me in. I love the simple aspects, but we've got this like beautiful stonework all around and some vines. I love the simplicity and beauty of it. The main reason I'm excited for this is a Les Mis retelling. Les Mis is my favorite Broadway show. I am in love with the music, the story. I've actually read the book Les Mis, which I honestly don't recommend. It's a monster. I've read it once. That's all I will ever do. So I am excited to get to this retelling because I've read one other Les Mis retelling, and that was Sky Without Stars, and that was Les Mis in Space. This is actually, I believe, in the same time frame post French Revolution. So I'm really excited to see what they will do with this story. And the next question is, what book am I most excited for that comes out in the second half of 2020? This one, again, very difficult to choose. I have two. I have Lightbringer by Claire Legrand, which is the finale to the Furyborn trilogy. I fell in love with the Furyborn trilogy last fall. I am so in love with this book series. We follow two girls 1,000 years apart, but they are connected by fate. So we follow Riel, who has recently learned that she is potentially the Sun Queen, which basically she has all these different types of magic and is meant to bring peace to the world. But it turns out she's actually the Blood Queen, who is meant to destroy the world. And then we follow Eliana, who is 1,000 years after Riel has done her reign. So Riel is more of a legend and a myth in Eliana's world, but Eliana starts to discover that she also has magic and is potentially the Sun Queen. But she is super scared that she will end up like Riel and being a Blood Queen. It's just, when you originally hear that it's following two stories 1,000 years apart, it seems extremely daunting, but it is so beautifully woven. I am in love with Riel and Eliana as characters. They're amazing and fun, and we also have really great side characters as well. So the other book that I'm also really looking forward to is another finale, and that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. This is the finale to An Ember in the Ashes. And I read this book, I think, again last fall, where I read the 3 books, and I am so in love with this story. We are following 3 main characters, Laya, Elias, and Helene, who are trying to make their way in this Roman-inspired society. So there's dictatorship and a horrible militia, but each feels that they have their own duty to their people. And they're each different. So they go on separate journeys to figure out what is actually right. And it is such a beautiful story. I am in love with these characters, and I am so scared to see what happens, especially after a Reaper at the Gates. I'm so unhappy with how that ended. It made me so sad. I just need this finale to be okay. The next question is my biggest disappointment of 2020. And honestly, I've had a couple of bigger disappointments, including The Guinevere Deception. I really hope to enjoy that one. Children of Virtue and Vengeance is another one. It's the sequel to A Children of Blood and Bone. I just don't think that it had the same magic and hook as the first one. So that one was a bit disappointing. But I think the biggest disappointment of them all is probably going to be The Ink in the Blood by Kim Smejkal. I think I'm choosing this one because it's the biggest disappointment that I've read recently. This was so intriguing to me. It was following tattoo magic and toying with fate and history, but it just didn't come together for me, which is really unfortunate. And it made me kind of sad. So obviously I don't have any of these books. I have unhauled them because they are disappointments to me, and I want my bookshelves to be full of things that make me happy. The next question is your biggest surprise by far this year, and I will have to say that is The Last Namsara by Kristen Ciccarrelli. I had no idea what to go into this. The only thing that I knew when I started this book was it seemed like an anti-hero trope where we're following a girl who is known as this Deathbringer, and she goes around killing dragons, and her goal is to kill the biggest dragon of them all. But this plot becomes so much more, and it is so beautiful. I love our characters. They all have that flawed and morally gray concept, which I absolutely devour in books. So I just enjoyed this. Plus, the books are structured in such a unique way. This is a trilogy, but each book follows a different woman in the universe. We are still following the same plot, but we're in someone else's perspective, which I think is so unique, and it made me love every single book. Because we were introduced to these characters immediately in book 1, and then we follow their own stories, because you do become more and more curious about these other characters. And I think that happens in a lot of other books where you're interested in these side characters, but you have no idea what they're thinking because you're in your main character's point of view. But I think this showed that anyone can be a main character, and everyone has their part to play in this plot, and I loved that. The next question is, who is your favorite new to you or debut author? I chose a new to me author because I've been trying so hard to get through my backlist. But this one actually wasn't on a backlist. This is one of my owl crates. That is The Bone Crier's Moon by Kathryn Purdie. I am so in love with this. This is a unique story that we follow, that is enemies to lovers, but I loved Kathryn Purdie's writing style. We follow 3 main characters, our 2 love interests here, plus Elise's best friend Sabine, who's actually on the cover of book 2, because that was just released, which I'm really excited for because Sabine deserves so much better. But I just loved the writing. There was such loyal friendship depicted, but with great action sequences and just seamless writing. The pacing was on point, and I really enjoyed the writing style, so I am hopefully going to pick up some more Kathryn Purdie in the future. The next question is, who is your new favorite fictional crush? I don't really get crushes on characters because they're characters and I know about it. But if I had to pick a male character who has just stuck with me because of who he is as a character and how he acts in the book, that's probably going to be Hunt Athalar in Crescent City, because Hunt has such depth to his character, and I am so excited to see more of what he can bring to the table. The next question is, who is your new favorite character? This one was really hard. I tried really hard to stay away from my rereads because most of these questions say new, so I did that. But there are a lot of characters who I love while I've been doing my rereads this year. But for new characters, I would have to say Ximena from Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. I loved Xemena's character just for the fact that she showed such strength, but she was also willing to listen to others and hear out what was best for her kingdom. And I think that is such a unique thing for a character to do. A lot of these characters, like Katniss and those, is there is a specific bad guy, and it's everyone's like, yeah, that's bad guy. Whereas in this story, it's not as black and white, and I loved that. And our main character, Ximena, was able to recognize that this world isn't black and white, and there are other opinions. And I really, really loved that about her. The next question is a book that made me cry. I don't super cry a lot when I read, which is kind of shocking to everyone involved. But I have been crying during my rereads, and I have no idea why. Those are the only books that have made me tear up and sob. And so I went with one of my rereads, Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and if you read this book, you know why I've cried. I actually didn't cry the first time I read this. I was too nervous and excited to see what was going to happen. But now that I kind of knew what was coming, I could see that foreshadowing. And just, The next question is a book that made you happy. And for this, I picked Godsgrave by Jay Kristoff. This is book 2 in the Nevernight Chronicles. This book made me so happy because we follow Mia continuing on her adventure towards revenge. But in this one, so this world is set in a very Roman-inspired society. And this book mainly focuses around like these basically these gladiator games, and it was so fun. I felt like I was in the crowd cheering for Mia, and it just made me so happy. Granted, this book shocked me to my core, but it still made me happy. The next question is a favorite book to movie / TV show that I've seen so far. So with everything going on, I haven't seen a ton of book to movie adaptations. I've rewatched a bunch of them just because that's what I like to do. I like to rewatch things, especially while I'm reading. I'll have Harry Potter or Hunger Games or Lord of the Rings in the background. But I guess my fiance and I ended up watching The Witcher earlier this year, and we really liked The Witcher. However, I've never read the book, so I don't know how well it translates, but the show is phenomenal and I highly recommend. It is a bit confusing to get into, but it is so worth it because the plot is just chef's kiss. It's glorious. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought this year? And I'm gonna bring up this book again because I love this cover so much. It is just gorgeous. The art is so pretty. Plus, we have a full-on picture on the end pages. This is just a beautiful book inside and out, and I love it, and I can't speak its praises enough. I love it so much, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here. So the last question is, what are books that you need to read by the end of the year? Well, as much as I'd love to say all of the books on my TBR, that's super unrealistic. So I picked 4 books, 2 sequels, and 2 new to me books that I want to read by the end of this year. So I will start with the sequels, and the first one of that is Heart of Flames by Nicki Preto. This is the sequel to Crown of Feathers, which came out last year, and I fell in love with it. It was phoenixes and phoenix riders. It was a post-rebellion, but starting a new rebellion, and it had everything. But I really want to reread Crown of Feathers before I jump into this monstrosity. Plus, look at its pretty edges. The second sequel that I really want to get to this year is Aurora Burning by Amie, Kaufman, and Jay Kristoff. This is the sequel to Aurora Rising, and I loved Aurora Rising. Amie and Jay just know how to write a good sci-fi, and this one, as much as this isn't in the same narrative style that the Illuminae Chronicles were, this isn't a typical normal, not text messages and data files. It's a normal narrative story, but it is phenomenal. We follow a girl, Aurora, who was lost in this basically like pocket of space for 100 years, and she has now been saved by our crew, and they go on this adventure kind of against their will, which causes a unique thing because like all of their taglines are very funny and just speak volumes to the types of characters we're following. Like this one was, they're not going down without a fight, we hope. Plus, like, they're all Charlie Boatwater covers, and this one is my favorite character, Cal, who is basically a space elf, and I love it. So, super excited, although I've heard heartbreaking things. I've heard this book is amazing, but will hurt you at the end, so I'm scared. So, for non-sequel books, I have picked 2, and the first one is The Puppy War by R.F. Kuang. I have been so excited for this book. This is Mulan and war and just so many good things. I love a good Mulan retelling, so I'm really excited to get to this. I am actually reading this in July, so I'm very, very excited. And the last book that I really want to get to this year is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I've heard phenomenal things about this series, and I really want to get to them. This is a sci-fi series following a girl whose father was disgraced as a traitor, but she's able to get into this flight academy by blackmailing the people. So I'm really hoping for a great morally gray character in Spensa. And I've been really into sci-fi lately, so I really hope that this delivers on that aspect. So those are all of the books for my mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know some of the answers to the questions you have down below. Feel free to do this tag. I love doing it because I love seeing what I've read throughout the year. I'm still shocked at myself for reading 92 books. That's phenomenal for me. I think last year I read 150 by December, so this is just great. I'm really excited for it, and I'm really excited for what the rest of the year will bring. Lots of finales, lots of sequels, and lots of great new releases as well. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And stay safe, stay healthy. Check out all of our links down below in the description. We have so many. And I will see you guys in our next video. Bye!